Hey guys, it's Kaz here, and today I'm going to be talking about all the things that I watched in January, featuring Little Guy. So first of all, I watched Abducted in Plain Sight. This is absolutely crazy. You just don't expect people would be this naive, but I think it was in the 70s. Basically, these parents had these daughters, and then one of their friends abducted one of their daughters twice. How, after the first time, would you let them see them again? I don't know. And it's just so mind-baffling, all these different things that happened and were allowed to happen. And like both of the parents did sexual things with this guy as well, and it was sort of a blackmail of him. So after the first abduction, he was blackmailing them like, oh, if you say anything, if you keep the case up, if you get the police to actually do me, then I'm going to tell them that your husband's gay. And then they didn't. And then he abducted her again somehow. It's absolutely crazy. But it's on Netflix if it sounds interesting. But yeah, it was just mind-boggling. Every single time something else happened, I was like, how? How are these real people? And how are these real decisions? It's crazy. Like, this guy would just sleep in the same room as their daughter for like every day for about 6 weeks or something crazy like that. It was just so weird. And then the daughter was like mind controlled into thinking that she was an alien, and the only way to save that alien race was to sleep with this guy and make an heir. And it's just, it sounds like fiction. It's so weird. So check it out if that sounds interesting, I guess. After that, I watched Killer Inside the Mind of Aaron Hernandez. I watched these both at the same time as I was building my new desk. It's like something on at the background, which is easy to listen to, that I don't really have to watch. And this one again is true crime. It's about Aaron Hernandez, who was a footballer, like American football, if I am correct in saying. And then these murders happen and he was implicated, and then the whole story is like about him, and then there's this other crime from the past that somehow links to him in some way. And yeah, another one that's just such a massive story. One thing I didn't like was how much they were focusing on him potentially being gay. I was like, how is that any part of the story? Because it's not like, in my mind I thought that it was going to be, and then the person that was killed, it was because he was having a secret affair and he was going to get out. But it wasn't. It was nothing like that. So the fact that he may or may not have been gay was really like totally irrelevant to anything that happened. But then the documentary was just like, that was a really, really big part of it, as if it meant anything. So that was a bit strange to me. I felt like it was really irrelevant. But anyway, would you stop trying to get on the top of my bookcases? So yeah, that's another one on Netflix if you're interested in true crime. Oh God, he's up. No, please don't. Why'd you have to perch? Come here. Oi, come here. Stop being a dick, I don't want to see your bum. None of us want to see your bum. I want to see the face. Okay? Okay. So after that, on YouTube, I watched like an hour Q&A Zoom thing with the director and the two main characters in God's Own Country, and then it just made me really want to watch God's Own Country, and it wasn't on Netflix or Amazon or anything, and I want to buy it. But then I was like, oh yeah, I've got a VPN, let's just look at every other country to see if it exists. And it did. It was on other countries, so I watched God's Own Country, or rewatched, should I say. This is a British film. It's set in Yorkshire, and it's about these two guys. One of them lives on the farm, the other guy... Excuse me! Don't try and bite that. The other guy comes to help work on the farm because the father of the guy that lives there is ill, so he can't do it. And it's just this like love story, becoming friendly, becoming lovers, and set in Yorkshire, and it's just really, really great. And if you haven't seen God's Own Country, yeah, get down, that's a good idea. If you haven't seen God's Own Country, then 100% find it, check it out, watch it, it's absolutely amazing. Although, it does have scenes of like real farm work, so if that makes you queasy in any way, like there is an arm up a cow to get a baby out, and there is a scene where they find a dead lamb, and then one of them cuts its skin off to put on another lamb to keep that one alive. So if that sort of stuff is a bit queasy to you, then maybe you don't watch it, but it's absolutely gorgeous film, absolutely gorgeous. And yeah, I rewatched that and it was really good. I also rewatched Consequences. So if you saw on my small book project, I got a stack of DVDs for Christmas and I've been kind of working my way through them. Consequences was one of them. It is a... where is it set? Where's it from? Slovenia? I think it's Slovenian. Slovakia? That's hard. Slovakia? Slovenia? We'll say Slovenia. It might be wrong. But anyway, it's from there. And it's about this guy who's a bit of a knobhead. And he gets sent to this place where knobhead boys go. And they have to stay there throughout the week, and then they get to go home at the weekend. Kind of like a juvie, but not. It's just, because it's not actually prison, but it's like, if they don't like live here, the next step will be prison kind of thing. I'm sure it has a proper name. But anyway, it's about a guy going there, and all these bad influences, and bad boys, and drug stuff, and gang stuff, and fighting, and all that. But also a gay story in there as well. The main guy is gay and he kind of falls for the leader of this gang that's all knobheads, so he gets into that gang and then everybody's a knobhead. If you don't like knobheads, then you probably won't like this film. But if you like the idea of like homosexuality being allowed to be in a film about really, really masculine men, then maybe watch it. I think it's really interesting how they've put it into like that sort of, slotted it into there. Yeah, it doesn't have a great ending, so if you need to have a nice ending, then probably don't watch this one, but it's actually a really good film. I liked it anyway. It's very aggressive and violent, so watch it at your own... another word that I'm trying to say that I can't think of. You get it. Next up, another film I watched that is thanks to VPNs. So I was looking through all the different Netflixes, going from one country to the other, like, oh, what should I look for? It's really hard. I know I have all these different Netflixes, but I don't know what to look for when I get on them, because I don't know what's on there, and it's really hard to try and figure out, because generally on the homepage it's just all the Netflix originals, which everybody has anyway. So yeah, I was looking, and for some reason I was looking for Kontiki, which is about the Kontiki expedition to Heyerdahl, going across the ocean on the boat made of reeds. And yeah, shout out South Africa, I think it was, because they had the Kontiki, so I watched Kontiki. This is a film version of that journey, and yeah, I very much enjoyed it. It definitely leaves stuff out. There's so much stuff that happens on this journey. They were on the boats for like 101, 102, 100 and a few days, so obviously loads of different stuff happens, and it doesn't go into as much depth explaining how the boat was made or why it was made or how it works on the water. For example, there were shots of it, like the bits of reeds. Is it reeds? Balsa wood. There were shots of the bits of the woods like banging against each other or banging against the twining, but then it didn't actually say in the film that these get wood, that this specific wood like it gathers all the water inside and then it becomes more buoyant and then it expands, so it stops banging against each other. And that was something that you learn in the book, obviously, because it's about a real thing. But yeah, I enjoyed it. Although there are three different versions, and I think I watched the worst version. So this is a Norwegian film. It's about a Norwegian explorer, but when they did it, they filmed it in English and Norwegian. I mean, shout out to Norwegians, because Norsemen is the same. Norsemen was filmed in Norwegian and English at the same time. So there's a Norwegian version, there's an English version, and then there's a English American versions, because Americans don't have any time or patience to watch films that are not action-packed, so they cut out like 20 minutes of the proper English one in the American one, and I think I saw the American one, so little bits and pieces missing. I would like to watch the proper Norwegian one at some point if I can find it somewhere, but I'm glad I finally watched it. After that, I watched a film called Teenage Kicks. This is Australian, and it is based off a short film that I can't remember the name of. But in the short film, one of the characters was played by Xavier Samuel, but in the main film, he's not in it anymore because he came Probably because he became a more famous actor. I don't know. But yeah, the full-length film was like 8 years or something, quite a long time after the short version. But this is a really strange one, and I feel like I have to spoil it to even explain what was going on, because, right, in the short film, the only part of the short film is like right at the end of the film. They're having a party, there's some water, one of them jumps into the water, the other one saves him, and then the guy kisses his friend and his friend is not happy about it. That is the short film. The longer film gives you backstory to that, but the backstory is so fucking weird that I don't even know what is going on. So basically, the main character, he's just being a person. And then it's so, I don't know if this is a thing that anybody's ever done, but he stands there watching his brother have a wank, basically. His brother notices and he's like, oh, you fucking prick, I'm gonna drive away because I'm really annoyed, on his bike. And then he gets hit by a bus, not a bus, a car or something, a car or a truck, dies. So then it's about death in the family, and then him feeling guilty because it's kind of his fault, because for some reason he was perving on his own brother. I don't know, it's really fucking weird. And then, I mean, oh my god. I just remember another bit that's even worse and so unrealistic and fucking weird. So, you know how I told you what happened in the short? Well, in the main film, after that happens, he goes to see the friend that he kissed, and that friend punched him when he kissed him. And then the friend's all like, oh, what? So you're in love with me, are you? Oh, well, be in love with this. And then he, like, literally rapes him. What? And then runs after him like, oh, I'm really sorry. Who fucking thought up this film? I have no idea. But I was not expecting all this weird ass beginning and end when all I knew was the middle from the short film. And then the only reason I watched the short film because of Xavier Samuel. So yeah, it was very, very strange, and I don't know who wrote this film, because what? I just noticed how bright I look on the screen. Woo! Anyway, then I watched Dark. Side note, I haven't watched the last episode of the first season, so no spoilers. But this was so weird and wonderful and cool and intriguing and full of mystery. This is a German TV show and it's about time travel, and it's just... Here's the thing, one of my friends said, oh, it's really slow getting into it. That friend is American, bless them, so that's probably why, because it's a European show, Americans can't really handle European shows because they need stuff, action. But then, like, literally in the first episode you find out about time travel, someone gets kidnapped, a dead body's found, there's all these like weird, mystical, intriguing things happen. There's this weird room and you don't know what it is or who owns it or what's going on in there, but something's happening that's really fucking weird. And I'm like, what do you mean it's slow? So much happens in the first episode and then it just carries on. And then there's like different times, and you go in the past, it's set now, but then also in the 80s, and then a bit later it's set in another bit as well, and it's just like, what? So yeah, if you're interested in time travel, but in a European style, so not slash bang bang Hollywood, everything's happening all the time, but also everything is happening because loads of stuff happens, then check out Dark. Then I watched 911 Lone Star. This again, thanks for a VPN, because, well, first of all, I tried to watch it in America. I tried to watch it on Fox, and I watched the first episode because it gives you an hour free on Fox, and then it's like, oh, you have to make an account with your TV provider and stuff, and I'm like, I do not know anything about American TV providers, so I can't even lie about that. Side note, later on, sort of this month, I figured out how to bypass that. If I just go on an incognito tab, then I can just have that hour free on Fox, and then go to a different place in America on my VPN and then have another hour free. So I figured that out, but luckily for me, 911 Lone Star was also on this random Australian online thing that you could watch stuff for free on, so big up Australia. This is about a bunch of firefighters, and it's basically one of them sort of shows where it follows, normally it follows police officers, doesn't it? Or we've seen loads in like Casualty and all that in Ambulance, but this one's a firefighter one. I feel like you don't get that very often. But yeah, it's just this bunch of firefighters and then doing firefightery stuff. I think it's kind of cool as well because each episode has about 3 to 4 different things that they go to. It's not like this is today's episode's thing that happens. That happens very rarely if it's like a big thing. But normally it's like, oh, we go to this place and then a bit later, oh, we go to this place and then this thing's happened. So that's kind of cool. And then obviously there's overarching things with different people and different relationships and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, glad I watched that. I also watched My Best Friend, which is... I do not know where it's from. Brazil? No, I don't think it's Brazilian. I'm gonna search it because I need to know. Argentina. This is Argentinian film. And yeah, it's, as the title suggests, about 2 friends. This one actually is one of those European films that not really much happens in, which is fine. I like them sort of films. But it did sort of, the ending made it feel like everything was just pointless because it's just like, nothing's really happened. But, I mean, getting to the end was kind of enjoyable. It was just 2 people becoming friends, and one of them was with his parents, one of them was a kid that got sent over because he was being a bit of a bastard with his parents and he stayed with them for a while, and then it's sort of him opening up and becoming not so mardy and aggressive and all that shit. It was alright. Nothing to shout home about. Probably not one that I would care to rewatch. It was alright. After that I watched season 2 of Blown Away. This is a TV show about glass blowing, and I watched season 1 when it first came out, whenever that was, and season 2 I blasted it all out in a day, I think, or a day or two. This is about 10 contestants that have to blow grass? No. They have to blow glass to create a different thing. Like every episode there's a different thing that they have to do, and then one gets kicked off each time. It's one of them sort of shows. And then the last person standing wins stuff to do with glass blowing. And yeah, I just think it's really cool. I like watching people be creative and being artistic. And I don't really know much about glass blowing, or I definitely didn't before I watched the first season. But then I watched this one, and yeah, it's just cool to watch people doing fun stuff and being creative and looking at how you can take this piece of glass and make it into something that you would just not expect. So yeah, it's fun, it's cool. If you like watching arty stuff and people doing stuff and challenging shows, then give that a go, I guess. And then last but not least, I watched DreamWorks short stories. This was a bunch of 6 or 8 short stories from different DreamWorks animations. Some of them I really loved, some of them were alright, so it's a bit of a mixed bag. The way I watched them, the first sort of 3 or 4 or whatever were really amazing, and the last few were like, they're alright, so sort of petered out for me. But the first one was about the pigs and the wolf from Shrek, and it was absolutely hilarious. It was like the wolf was a werewolf, but he was becoming a human that wants to eat pigs, but then as a wolf he didn't want to eat the pigs, and it was just hilarious. Watch it on Netflix, it's on Netflix. That one was great. There was also one about Megamind, and I love Megamind. I feel like Megamind is really underrated, but I think Megamind's great. So there was that one. There were 2, I think, from Alien vs Monsters. I think that's what the film's called. I've seen it once many years ago. I don't really remember much about it. So the fact that 2 of them were about them characters, I was kind of like, why? Oh, there were also one from Over the Hedge, I think it was. And there were a few films like that I watched at the same time. So I can't remember. I think it was Over the Hedge. Yeah, so that one was quite fun. Oh yeah, and then there was just this random one that was no talking, not about a character that we know, just like a little short about this guy that's helping a bird to fly. That one was alright. Not the best, but I definitely enjoyed the 3 that I mentioned that I enjoyed more. Didn't need to say that, did I? But yeah, I guess if you like Alien vs Monsters, again, I think that's what it's called, I can't remember, Monsters vs Aliens it might be, then you might enjoy those 2 more than what I did. But all in all, it was a fun time, and it was the end of the times, so those are all the things that I watched in January. Let me know down below if you've seen any of these, if any sound interesting, if any sound weird, leave me some thoughts down below. I'll reply. It'll be a good time. And if this is your first video by me and you enjoy it, then please check out some of the others. And if you continue to enjoy, then please subscribe. That'd be awesome. Anyway, guys, I'll see you in a few days with another video. Bye. Hello, baby. Hello, baby. What are you looking at that for? Rude dude.